record. But today, we said we want to really draw the ERD, the entity relationship diagram, just to further see how our tables link with each other. And this is an example. I brought this so that we can actually see what it looks like, so that when we've seen the finished product, we can then start to build ours. We see some tables in the middle, and this is where we determine on our own data, which is our facts table. We touched on what facts table are yesterday, and which ones are our dimension table or lookup tables. Then we start to look at the IDs or the column, the unique column that links them together. For example, for this example now on orders table, this is telling us that there is employee ID, and that is why it's got a link to employees table. There is customer ID on this table, and that's why there is a link with it to customers table, and then to shippers table through shippers ID, and so on and so forth. This tells us that order details and orders, are linked by order ID. And products is linked to order details by using the product ID. So products is not directly linked to orders. It's linked to order details, and it's order details that's then linked to orders. The uniqueness of this is when we start to try to bring in, use XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP, to bring in any needed column from one table to another, then we start to understand which ID we are using, which unique column we are using, and is it even possible? For example, if I'm trying to do some calculations on orders table, and I need a column, maybe sales, maybe I've got sales or unit price on products table, but it's not on my orders table, But the fact is, products table and orders table are not directly linked. So that tells me that VLOOKUP is not going to work between those two. That is the products table and the orders table. So what I would then need to do is bring the column I'm concerned or interested in first into order details, because that is directly linked. And then that's me using product ID now. And then from order details, I can get it into orders using the order ID. I believe we'll see this in action, at some point, but let's concern ourselves with how to achieve this. And we don't have to do this so in such an elaborate manner like this, The essence of it is not for maybe for the beauty, or I can draw, or I can use this. It's just for your own understanding of the data you are working with, which means you can just get your pen and paper and just, draw your link on your pen and paper and use that to do your data work or data assignment that you've got. The essence of it, I need to understand what I'm doing, what's happening between my tables and within the data set as a whole. Okay. So we first and foremost, let's determine from our own data set now, from this workbook, let's determine which is the fact table and which is the dimension table. And we're going to need to make this interactive. So which is the fact table and which is the dimension table? And we are going to give us reasons why you pick your answer, okay? So if your background is not noisy, please unmute and let us know. So we are on customers table now. Have a look at this customers table and let's know, is this a fact table or a dimension table? And why?
It's a dimension table because it does not have quantitative, it doesn't have, it's not a central table. It doesn't have like calculations.
Right. So
I hope I'm right. Yesterday was the first time I heard about fact table and dimension table. So I haven't done further research since then. So just the little knowledge I have that I'm using.
Right. No, you are on the right track. Have we got any more explanation as to why this is a dimension table from the house?
I believe this is a dimension table because, well, I believe it's not a fact table because it doesn't have it doesn't have details of the transaction, of the underlying transaction. From what I understood yesterday,
yeah,
the fact table would actually have details that show what transpired, the actual transaction.
Thank you. Yes, that nails it perfectly. The fact table shows us the business events that actually takes place within that business, which rightly said is transaction. It's just that most of the time when we hear transaction, we think money, and transactions don't have to involve money. So that if we are not seeing buying and selling taking place on a table, we are not, thinking it's actually not a fact table. Where you don't have orders and terms like that being used, it's still possible for that table to be a fact table. We just need to know what the event we carry out, what sort of transactions we carry out in our business is, and then we can use that to determine it. Okay, thank you very much.
So just a quick question. So
yeah.
when you say, because I'm used to transactions as in monetary terms, so you are saying that transactions can be also in non-monetary terms?
It can, yes.
Can you give us examples?
Okay, an example I gave yesterday is, let's say we, as an airline, we record how many times or how many times or how aircraft strike birds. I've got that sort of data set in here somewhere. I'll try to fish it out at some point. Okay, so on my facts table, we're not seeing money. We are just seeing, okay, Dana Airline at so time on a particular date at this airport did strike this bird, So that is the event that is being measured by the business of that data at that time. And anytime there has been a bird that has been stricken by an aircraft, the transaction has taken place. Or if let's come down to the GP, our hospital. Okay, so if my table is about recording appointments, those that came in, those that made it, what time they came in and all of that, that is a fact table because I'm recording the events that happened. Meanwhile, I will also have patients table. I would also have doctors table, nurses table to give us information about the nurses. I would also have information table on types of appointments, and different things like that, or types of diseases that are being treated, age of the people that are being treated. But where the appointments itself is being recorded, And one person, a patient can come for appointment as many times as possible. So that is why it's a fact table, because a unique record can occur many times. Unique record for a patient now. On the patient's table, patient ID is unique. But when we come to the appointment table where we record appointments, one patient could be seen as many times as possible within a month by different doctors actually. Does that make a bit more sense, sir?
Oh, makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Thank you. Events those events that you use. So yeah, measuring those events that took place. So you're gathering data on those events that took place.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay. So that means our employees would be a dimension table for the same reason. And products would be a dimension table because it's just I know we see unit price here, units in stock, you know how we used to take audits for those of us that run store or, run a shop before. This is just something around taking stock of the products that you've got, at different times. So it's just a lookup. And that's why the idea on it, yeah.
Just a quick question. Sorry for interjecting.
No.
So for a fact table, I'm just thinking on top of my head now, has to have a date. It must have a date because an event will take place at a particular time.
It always does.
Okay.
Yes, it's because it's always they have not worked with a table, a fact table that has not gotten a time recorded.
Yes, because you want to capture the time.
Exactly, and that's how you can have historical data of what happened over time.
Whether winter, summer.
Exactly. So yes, it always does. Again, category side is just looking at the categories of products, other details. Okay, this is where there might be a bit of confusion. So we've got other details now, and this is where we'll need to discuss this. We've got order ID, product ID, unit price, quantity, discount, right? And for orders, we've got all of this, or order ID, then we've got the customer ID, the employee ID, and so on and so forth, On this one, I don't believe we've got something pointing us in the direction of this quantity was bought and this was how much it was sold for. I don't see it here. Maybe I missed it. If you do, please let me know. So, but other details and others, which of them do we think is the facts table?
Well, let me hazard a response. I would think that the orders, I think.
Okay.
Because that has it shows that it shows that certain orders were made. It shows when those orders were shipped.
Yeah.
And some other information there, which suggests that an event or a transaction has occurred. So we have order dates, and obviously we have dates, like you said a few minutes, like Tolu mentioned a few minutes ago. So we have order dates, we have shipped dates, and then other information that relates to the fact that a shipment was made. So if I were to pick one, I think I would pick this one between the two.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Hello, can I say something?
Please
Good evening, everybody. It's actually my first day here. So
welcome.
Anything I'm saying now is just based on what I've seen here. Now, with this, we are on orders now. Is there anywhere here that shows us the quantity of order on this table?
On this particular table.
Yeah, the quantity, like how many, what was ordered, how many pieces was ordered.
Okay, we've got order ID that tells us order, an ordering took place.
Yes,
by customer, served by this employee on this date, and this is the date they require the product back. This is the date it was shipped through this shipping, and this was how much was paid for the shipping, and so on and so forth. But apart from that, I don't see where it says quantity.
Yeah, because from what you were saying about whether it's a fact table or a dimension table, I think the difference from what I have got, and I might be wrong and I stand to be corrected, is that the fact table actually tells you the transaction, the actual transaction, and how it occurred, the frequency at which it occurred, while the dimension table is just more like a description of what business, the kind of business, or the description of what you have in that organization or agency per se.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I would say I would be very skeptical to call this. Is this I don't know, where are we now?
Orders.
Is this the order?
We are on orders now. Yeah, this is the one without quantity.
Yeah, the one without quantity, I would be a bit skeptical to call it the fact table.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate your contribution, and thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
And we hope you come again.
Of course.
All right. I need more suggestions. I'm loving this discussion. It's really very good. I'm loving the way we are thinking around these things. It tells us that we are getting the concept. So, but I need more. So please unmute and let's hear from you. Even if you're not telling me reason, just let me know. Which do you think is?
I think this one now.
Yeah.
It shows the order, the product ID, the quantity, and the discount. This shows that a business has taken place. Definitely there's been a transaction.
Yeah,
you understand the purpose of collecting this data. It's all in here. Apart from, I've not seen anything about the date. Date, the date it happened. So for me, I would see this more as a fact table than the other one.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Any more suggestions?
Please let me clarify. Abimbola, is that you? I just want to be sure if that's the speaker is Abimbola.
Yeah, would you?
Abby. All right. Okay. All right. I want to be sure that was your voice. Welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Yes, Sister Odu. Carry on from there. Now that we are sure. Yeah.
Madam Debbie, as I did now, I want to log off on the laptop to log on to the phone.
It's not knocked off yet.
Pardon me, please.
Okay. Any more?
I think
I will agree with Abby as well, Sha. My Excel and Power BI skills are still bit distant, but from the presentation and even what Tolu had said, there's a lot more fact with this one, and with the transactions and information that the organization would use, more than the other one.
Okay.
To me, my problem with this is that there's no dates. So when did the event take place? When? So that would be my argument with this table. When did the transaction? When did that event take place?
Right.
Nothing.
Can't it be traced with the order?
Okay, can I say something?
Please do.
Okay, so my contribution is this. I think the last two speakers mentioned that these orders, this present table, this is the fact table, because looking at the context of a fact and the dimension table, we can say this is the fact table because it contains the metrics, the measurement, that is the unit price, the quantity, and even the discount as well.
Yeah.
However, in the contents of dimension table is who, what, when, and depending on the concepts.
Right.
But we can analyze this fact table using the order details, which has the customer ID. That's the when, okay, the when, that's the when, or who rather is coming, who customer, who is the customer that actually placed this order. Then in terms of who is the employee, looking at the dimension, the context of a dimension table, who, when, what, and when. So that's the way I would go about it.
Thank you very much, sir. You see, when I say somebody is my Oga, because this who, when, where, and how is even just rounding it really up for me. I'm loving this, really, really loving this. Thank you so much. You know, when I learned this, and that was about a year ago, what I saw and understood then and what I'm seeing now is just two completely different things, and we are both right. Both answers are right. Because look, we've got a lot of information here that's tilting towards fact. We've got a lot here that's also tilting towards fact, because the moment we know something is being shipped, freight is being paid for, a transaction actually occurred there as well. So if I was given this task at work, what I'll do is I'll look for a way, like Mr. Azim said, to use these two together. If I can, I'm just going to join them together, because thank God there's other ID here. Somebody said that as well. There's other ID here and there's other ID here. I'm just going to bring, okay, I'm just going to need to bring maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, just four columns from here, and just bring it here. Case closed. Problem solved. And I can assure you that I did not even see this solution before until we were having this discussion, and that is what data does to you. You have done something, you just discover that, oh, no, I have to go back, and it's all, well, they say it's me saying that, but it's all fun, it's all part of having that mental exercise, to just, keep looking for a way out, a better way. Okay, this is it. Okay, that is it. And sometimes we just get stuck. There's not really, well, just yet with what we have, there's not really just an efficient way to do this, than the way that we are doing it at the moment. So sometimes that happens, and we just roll with that as well. So I'm very grateful for the gift of this class, because I'm really, really, really learning a lot. Thank you very much. So these two, we'll conclude that these two would act as our order detail, as our fact tables, rather. We just look for a way to combine them when we get to that point, and we know territories, suppliers, and what else have we got? And shippers and region. Those are all lookups. So it's just these two that we've got as our facts table. Is there still a question on that? We are all clear about that now. Perfect. Let's use the next few minutes to quickly see what more we can do. You know what will happen? Even if you have to get this or draw this using pen and paper, and that's me suggesting now, just so that we'll really commit to doing it. It's going to be our assignment. I will send this screenshot, send this as screenshot so that you have a template to work with. And like I said, it doesn't have to be that you must draw exactly this. And you can draw exactly this and even finer than this. Why not? Okay. But I want us to commit to looking through this data and looking at what can I connect to what is linking to what, which table is actually, exactly usable with another. Okay, and that's going to be what we take home as our assignments to do. Being my suggestion, I'm not enforcing it.
One quick question before you go on, Sister Debbie.
Yes.
Could you explain the entity relationship diagram? I don't want to assume that I know it.
Okay.
And how does it relate to what we are doing now?
All right.
Thank you.
Very, very good question. Okay. There's something we call entity. These tables we see here are all entities. You know, it's like saying tables relationship diagram. You know, they are all different entities. Somebody can Google the actual meaning of entities for us. Maybe that would drive it, you know, better home. So like the name implies, entity relationship diagram. This diagram is showing the relationships that we have between different entities within our data, you know, and how this works, how we bring it home to what we are doing. There's something we call relational database, you know, where you are not just dealing with just one table and analyzing just one table. You are dealing with different tables, as many as possible, which can be linked. And it is in linking them that you can make your data models, you know, that would help you to analyze your data, that you can easily filter through and dice through different dimensions of the data, such that you can look at, you know, what has sales been over time, you know, how many customers happened to us last winter. You know, it is when you have gotten a good grounding on you know, the knowledge of how you form your relationships and manipulate your data around this, that then the end product becomes your report has more integrity in it. Does that make sense, sir?
Yeah, it's clear now. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. You're welcome. So I'm suggesting we take this home as homework. We might not necessarily, actually, yes, we should. And let's see what we have done with it by tomorrow. And part of my aim to do to you know, make this an assignment is so that we can also sit with the data and get a bit more insight from it, such that when we then start to do the analysis of it, we get it better in class. Yeah, what do we think?
So I'm just trying to look at the assignment again. So you want us to see how these tables are related to each other?
Yes, draw something, produce this end result. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is not exactly correct. Okay. But this is I'm giving you this as a template to use, so you know your end result, you know what you are aiming for, such that you can go into your data and you can say in the middle, I need to explain that so that you understand actually. In the middle, I've got my fact tables. You know how we said these two are going to be acting as both as a fact table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've got our fact table in the middle. And then we've got the other tables, the other lookup tables surrounding them in the ways that they are joined. Example, orders. If I go to orders, on orders, I've got customer ID. That tells me that it can have a link with the customer table. Okay, so I can come back to my ERD and link it with customers. And I can state there that it is linking using the customer's ID. Okay, I go back to the same orders. It's got the employee ID on it. That tells me it's got a link with the employees table. Okay, so, and it's here. I'll put the employees there, and I state that it is using employee ID to form that link. Okay, and the same goes for shippers. If I go back to orders, I've got shipper using the ship. This ship via is the same as the shipper ID. Okay, because we can see it's 1, 2, 3. It's just that on orders it's called ship via, but that's the shipper's ID. Okay, so it's also linked to the shipper's table using the shipper's ID. And we already know that order details and orders both have order ID in common anyway. As we see here, we've got order ID here, and order details, we've got order ID here. So those two can be linked like that in the middle using the order ID. And if I come on order details have also got product ID, which tells me that it's got a link with the products, with the products table. Okay, so I link it straight to products using the product ID. Now, if I go on my products table now, my products table has got supplier ID and a category ID. So those two I'm going to be linking to my products. So supplier ID, they're using the suppliers using the supplier ID. Categories is joined to it using the category ID. Okay, and that's what it is. So the more you do that or understand that concept manually, then when you start using the data model in Power BI or the Power Pivot here, because we also have a Power Pivot here that we are going to learn within Excel as well, you know, you will know if Excel is not forming the relationship that you want, you would know how to change it. You would understand perfectly what you are doing to manipulate that data to conform to what you need it to become. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but the eyes I'm using to look at it is when we're doing process map.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if there's something
Just
like
thinking
process,
of
yeah,
me as a user, then a user journey on a system.
mm-hmm.
If I may just add to what Sis Nikki said, what comes to my mind immediately I see this as a mind map. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that we are having, you know, links with it. We are having something we can compare it to, you know, because that's just what it is. It's just that this is just highlighting relationships. And obviously that will give you a process through which you can walk through your data. And the more you keep going from one table to the other, looking at which ID is on what, the better understanding you get of that data set as well. And then you can start looking at, okay, like we discovered, everything on order details will come on orders, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because we are going to make this our central table in the end that we'll work with. Yeah? Are we good?
Just a question.
Yeah.
That's entity relationship diagram.
Yeah.
The answer to this question might be no, but I just want to be sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because it could also be yes. Remember you talked about star schemas yesterday?
Yes. In fact, you just nailed it for me. Thank you so very much. I forgot to bring that home properly. You just did a good job there. So by the time we add this, we join these two together and they are merged. Yeah. And they are both in the middle. And all of these other ones are just surrounding them. We've just formed a star schema. Remember, we did a star schema yesterday. Now, had it been, we've got, actually, we didn't form a star schema, sorry. Star schema would have been, Star schema would have been, we've got categories on, so these two are together. We've got categories joining on here as well, you know. So there's a link with categories. There's a link with suppliers to the main table, you know. There's a link with, so those other ones that are branching out. Every of the employees, every of the lookup tables will have a direct link to your facts table, which we place in the middle. Okay, that would be what we call a star schema. But in this case, we've got products branching out, supplier was here. So we've got supplier branching out from products. We've got categories branching out from products. Then we've got, you know, product branching out from other side, other ID, you know. So we didn't form a perfect star schema here because of these extra branches that we've got. Had it been that categories has got category ID inside here, suppliers have got supplier ID inside here, then that would have been a perfect star schema. In this case, I believe we've formed a snowflake because of the branches that we've got happening around here. Okay, does that make sense, sir?
Oh yes, thank you very much. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Just that clarity. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're very welcome, sir. I might need to open Power BI maybe tomorrow so that we'll see that concept of star schema properly. Just so we really drive it home. I'll look for one of the modules that got it.
Sorry, I have a question. I'm drawing you back into it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get what you want us to do.
Okay.
Now, if I open the categories, is it the way it's